All right, before I get started, people that are with me, can everybody stand up for me? How long have you guys been sat down? A long time? Good, okay. Come into this area here. Get yourselves a little bit of space, come forwards, get out of your seats, come in and around. All right. Does anyone know what a ground to stand is? No? A ground to stand is very simple. It's you get to the ground and you get back up, you stand back up. I want each of you to do 10 different, so look at, if I go forwards, down and touch, and come back up, that would be one variation of how to do a ground to stand. I want you to do 10 different variations of a ground to stand. All right, go. I'll give you 60 seconds. Good. Make sure it is slightly different each and every time. You got 20 seconds. That's one way. Throw him to the floor. All right. Stop there. That has nothing to do with anything that I'm about to talk about, but I know that being sat down for an hour and a half doesn't allow me to really concentrate for much longer beyond that point, right? Take a seat. I don't mind if you want to sit on the floor, if you want to sit on the seats, wherever you want to sit, take a seat. Don't go too far away because I won't bite. All right. How much better do you feel? Right, yeah, I liked hearing the laughter, that was good, all right? How you're feeling right now is how you should feel coming into competition, right? How you were feeling 2 minutes ago is not an ideal place for you to come into any form of competition. You guys are athletes doing athletics. So from what I remember of athletics is a lot of waiting around, and then there's a split moment where you get to perform. So that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today, is how you optimize that, primarily utilizing breath, right? However, the performance improvement that you guys have got, that was flexible, well done. The performance improvement that you're seeing right now, your attention levels to me in this very moment are greatly improved by you just taking a break. That was it, that was all that was, right? That was a little mental break from having to concentrate. Now that's what, I'm not saying that you go and you clown around for 2 hours before you have to go and do whatever event it is that you do, and then for 5 minutes before you try and then prepare. But if you spend the 2 hours leading up to competition, stressing about competition, you're in what's called the fight or flight part of your nervous system. You're consuming energy. So can someone give me an athlete that they admire? Any athlete. Doesn't matter what sport. Just one. Kevin Meyer. Don't know who that is, but yeah, okay. Good. All right, Usain Bolt. How chilled is Usain Bolt when he's on the track? He's pretty chilled, isn't he? When he's high-fiving the guys that are holding his blocks, when he's up looking around at the crowd, and then he focuses down. All right, Michael Jordan, he played 38 out of 40 minutes in every game. But the 2 minutes that he spent on the bench, he wasn't watching the game. His head was covered, and he was internalizing what was going on. He was taking his break so that he could go out and he could optimize his performance, right? I forget his name, but an NFL quarterback I was listening to talk on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, he was the same, doesn't watch his defensive line anymore. Just watch it, just gets in and focuses on what it is that he has to do, and uses meditation and breath work in order to allow whatever negative or positive thoughts and emotions are coming in to release them out. Does that make sense? Yeah, can you relate to that a little bit, knowing, you know, whatever athletic sport it is that you're performing in, or whatever sport it is that you guys might cross-code over into? Does that make sense that if I spend all my time worrying and stressing and trying to be in the moment that whole time, then I'm not going to perform at my optimum capacity? Yes? Good. All right. So, scaling it back into your training. So how do you train for this? So one way that we can do that is utilizing breath, and I think it's a massively underutilized tool in training. So I coached elite level athletes all the way up to when I then got a strength and conditioning coach for the Melbourne Rebels. So do you know how often we trained breath as a component of our training in any forms of those in the last 15 years that I've been involved in competition? None. Yeah, 0. And yet, how many breaths do you guys take every day? Have a guess. Millions. Through a lifetime, maybe. About 50,000 on average. You guys probably more when you're training. About 50,000 breaths per minute. On average, the human being might step for 10,000 steps in a day. How many squats do you think you do during a day? I'm going to the toilet a lot, maybe a bit more, but you know, it's probably in the hundreds at best. So if you're looking at that scale and you're looking at optimizing your performance, I would say that we need to put a little bit more emphasis onto breathing. So what I want to do today is just start with an assessment for you, all right? A quick assessment. It's going to take 60 seconds. I don't mind if you close your eyes, I don't mind if you're sitting, I don't mind if you're lying, I don't mind if you're standing. But what I want you to do is, I just want you to count how many breaths you take in this 60 seconds. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right. I'll time you. No talking. Try not to distract yourselves with anything. Just settle down and count how many breaths you take. Okay, 3, 2, 1. And stop there. All right. Okay, so I won't make you tell me what it is that you got, but if you took more than 10 breaths through that 60-second period, you are in what is called your fight and flight part of your autonomic nervous system. We talked a bit about stress in the talk before us. Do you guys understand what I mean by autonomic nervous system? I'm going to go with no and say that the autonomic nervous system is anything that happens within your body that you regulate automatically, right? So when when my food gets digested, that's part of the autonomic nervous system. When I lift my arm, that's part of what's called the somatic nervous system. I did that deliberately and consciously. Okay, so if you took between 4 to 6 to 10 breaths, then you're in a neutrally balanced, optimal state of breathing, right? Any less than that, and it's considered alkaline, all right, which also isn't optimal, all right? You create disease in the body outside of that range. So you don't want to, it's not that stress is bad. Stress long-term is bad, right? And that's what you're trying to articulate here, and that's what I'm trying to get through and sort of give you something to some tools to actually utilize to put yourself back in. 3 big diaphragmatical breaths can put you back into the parasympathetic, your rest and digest part of your nervous system, right? That allows your body to recover. That allows your body to digest the food that you are eating. But if your breath is stopping you from doing that, so if every time I breathe out, I have to stop that full exhalation by breathing in again, and I'm what's called chest breathing, I'm stressed. Right? I've got 2 young kids. When they're stressed, naturally, and this is what my parents taught me, is I just tell them, just breathe. Right? Calm down, just breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. So it's sort of ingrained in our psychology anyway that what we need to do in order to calm the nervous system is just to breathe. Does this make sense to everyone so far? Does it resonate with you a little bit given how you performed in that test? Can you also see in your lives today how stressful your environment is? Right? There's a lot of information coming at you through mobile phones, through the internet, through the TV. There's a lot of stress points for you guys to have to deal with that my generation and the generations before, I sound so old right now, have not had to deal with, right? So you need to understand how to navigate this new environment for you. Right, you need to understand this information on breathwork and to utilize it to your advantage, because otherwise you create disease within your body. And as athletes, you can't perform when your body's having to battle all of this stress and this anxiety. Right? Stress is at an all-time high in Australia. I think it's something crazy, like 7 out of 10 people in Australia will suffer from some form of mental anxiety throughout their lives. So, I mean, that's if you look around, there's only 3 out of every 10 people here that will not have any issues with this. So this, even if this doesn't apply to you, this can apply to your friends, this can apply to your family. So this is information that you can utilize. All right, so we're going to go into a little bit of breath work to start. Now, I want to first talk to you a little bit about how you're supposed to breathe. Right, so I suggested that if you're chest breathing, if you're shallow breathing, and you're in your sympathetic part of your nervous system, that's not good. But what does that mean? So how do I fix that? All right, so ideally, a diaphragmatical breath will take place starting in the pit of your stomach. You'll get 3-dimensional expansion through your ribs as you lift the air up into your chest. Does everyone know what a diaphragm is and how it interacts with the body? Sort of, maybe? No? Okay. All right, your diaphragm is like a dome-shaped muscle that sits at the base of your ribs. As you breathe in, you're pulling like a coffee plunger, you're pulling that dome out, and it's expanding your intercostal muscles in order for the lungs to be able to facilitate more breath. If you have a weak diaphragm, you're not going to be able to get much oxygen in there, right? Your energy equation, so if I want energy equals oxygen plus glucose. So I'm assuming everyone eats sugar plentifully here, but if you're not breathing properly, you're not accessing that oxygen, so you're not getting the energy, right? So do we all need a little bit of energy in order to perform? Yes. So if I use my breath to access more energy, and I can use my breath to de-stress me, that makes sense into something that I would want to invest into, right? Right, okay. So 2/3 down here, 1/3 up here, 3-dimensional expansion. So what are we going to do? We're going to start with you placing your hand on your belly button and your hand on your chest. All right, if you struggle to do this, you're not going to be able to do that cramped up like that, right? You need to either be sat up tall or lying down, right? I cannot breathe in this position here. Okay, so if you've got poor posture or if you're slumped over, you're not going to get the most out of this. So if you can lie down, come lie down. If you can sit up tall for the next 10 minutes, great. Sit up tall for the next 10 minutes. Understand that when you're breathing standing up or seated, gravity is compressing you down. So it's a good tool to be able to train with, but also you need to understand that lying down you're going to be able to maximize your potential a little bit easier. So it just depends on what state you're trying to get to. Okay, so with your hand on your belly button and your hand on your chest, when you take a big, long, deep breath in, and I'm going to get you to breathe in through your nose to begin with, and out through your mouth. When you take a big, long, deep breath in, you want to feel your bottom hand, so your hand that's on your belly button, rise up towards the ceiling. And then as I continue breathing in, I want to feel my top hand rise up towards the ceiling, or out away from you if you are sat down. Okay? All right, so let's do 2 minutes of just that. All right, I want to do 2 minutes of you literally just focusing on feeling your hands lift and then lift. So belly button and then chest and then belly button as you allow the breath to go away and calm you down. Feel how actually as you breathe in, that's kind of stressful, right? That takes energy. But as you breathe out, I'm actually, the ability to relax and enjoy that out breath is heightened. If you're not breathing that way, that's okay, that's really, really common. But that's just something that you're going to have to practice, right? Like jumping over a hurdle or a high jump. If you don't get it the first time, you don't just give up. It's not for me. You just keep practicing. Just understand the mechanism. Try and feel the relaxation through the head and the shoulders and the spine and the hips and the feet. All right, feel your body just giving way and calming. In through the nose, out through the mouth. See if you can get a little bit more air in each and every time. And then let's see if we can get a little bit longer on the out breath than we take on the in breath. If you want to use a count, try 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, I want you to switch your hands. Don't move and don't change anything you're doing with your breath, but switch your hands so that they're on the outside of your ribs. All right, so you can just feel the outside of your ribs. And now as you breathe, when you're breathing in, I want you to feel those hands move apart. So imagine those hands are like a corset or a belt. And as you breathe in, that corset or that belt expands and the hands move further away. And then as you exhale, you want to feel those hands move closer inwards and come closer together. So if you were to have 4 hands, it'd be real handy. Pardon the pun, sorry. That was very bad. But you would be able to feel the bottom hand on your belly button rise up, then your chest rise up. Simultaneously, you would feel both hands that are on your ribs expanding apart. As you exhaled, you would feel the top hand collapsing down, the bottom hand drawing in, and both hands that are on your side of your ribs drawing in towards each other. This is the mechanics of a diaphragmatical breath. The diaphragmatical breathing can be utilized in order to calm your nervous system and maximize oxygen into your system so that you can get the most energy. All right, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, come out. Stay where you are, but just open up your eyes or sit up a little bit for me, because we're going to continue with the breath work, but I just want to pull you up and just talk to you a little bit. So did anyone struggle with the mechanics of the breathing? It's okay if you did, you're not alone. But like I said, you just need to come back to practicing what it is that we're talking about, understanding the mechanics, and then practicing and starting to get that rebooted into your nervous system. Funny thing with learning is motor skill development takes twice as long, well actually it takes about 100 times as long to redevelop a pattern of a neural network than it does to just establish it for the first time. So the other thing that I wanted to just to quickly mention to you was, did anyone struggle with sitting still? Few people were fidgeting about quite a bit, right? That's okay. Again, nothing, like, I'm not here to judge you or to tell you that one way is better, or well, actually I am here to tell you that one way is better, but I'm not here to tell you that what it is that you are doing currently is terrible. I'm just trying to give you an insight into how you can maybe optimize what it is that you're doing. But if you struggle to sit still for 2 minutes, do you think that that is going to lead, like, remember what we talked about optimizing performance and needing to take breaks? If you can't sit still for 2 minutes, are you going to be optimizing, conserving your energy in order to utilize it when you want to perform? Right? If all you had to do was sit still and concentrate on your breath work, and that was challenging, and to be honest, when I started doing this was my biggest struggle with meditation, breath work, mindfulness, all of it, is that I've been highly active my whole life. So to be told to sit still was uncomfortable, I didn't like it, there was stuff that I wanted to go and do that was more important to me. And you know, nowadays with social media and with everything, all this information that's coming at you, it's even harder to sit still. But if you're sat on your phone, that's not switching off, right? If you're fidgeting around, if you're larking around with your friends, if you're not able to ever fully switch off and relax, you're always in this parasympathetic part, this sympathetic part of your nervous system. You're always in fight or flight. You're always burning through and consuming energy. And then when you really want to access it, it might not be there, right? Or your brain is so on the whole time that your ability to focus down, and we were chatting about this a little bit before we started, right? If you look at the AFL these days, do you reckon we've gone backwards in terms of skill level in the past 50 years? Like, we shouldn't have gone backwards with all the technological advancements, with everything that we know now about strengthening and conditioning and the development of sports science, then skill level shouldn't have gone backwards. So there's no way that we're not as skillful as you were when athletes weren't even professional. But the difference is here now. So you can hit someone lace out as you're running into a 50 meter arc. Sorry if I get the terminology wrong. English still second sport to me. But as you're running in, they can hit them. Bam, on the run, no problem. However, 30 meters out directly in front, this season's been the worst. They're just spraying them everywhere. And the difference is just mental fatigue, right? Because we never switch off. We're always on. You'd think sitting on your phone or sitting on your computer is switching off. It's not. Sitting in front of the TV, it's not. I wasn't going to go here today, but there's a gland that sits behind your eye. It's called the pineal gland. It regulates your hormonal stasis throughout the day. So it tells you when you're to wake up and it tells you when to go to sleep. When you're in front of the blue light of a phone or this artificial light or your TV, you're stimulating the pineal gland, telling the body that you're awake, that you're alert, that you need to be on all the time. So we're not at rest. And so my hypothesis would be is that in sport today, people are highly skilled, very, very fit, but they're not mentally as sound as what we were 50 years ago. Not because we're any different physiologically, but because nowadays there's so much more coming at us in terms of what we're able to do. And so it's so hard to switch off. Now, I know that my generation, I think, is a unique generation in that we were analog as kids and digital as adults. So I can see the evolution in myself where I was much more able to sit peacefully as a child than I am now, even now, knowing all of this information as an adult. I have to work at it every day doing meditation, which doesn't come naturally. I'd much rather go into the gym and do some training or go and play a sport, but I can see the benefits to it. Okay, so we're going to go, I don't suppose there might not be, but any questions around that? Does that make sense to everyone? Like, can you see how applicable that is to you guys? Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we're going to go into a second breath journey. What I want to do this time is you're going to use that same framework of breath. Then what I want you to do is we're going to do a nostril breath. So we're going to close down your eyes, center yourself in, try as much as you can not to fidget. All right, so get comfortable wherever it is that you want to sit or lie. Get comfortable so that you can be there for a while, because this is probably going to take a few minutes. Okay, and what I want you to do is try and resist the urge to itch yourself, or to scratch, or to fidget, or to talk, or to really do anything other than enjoy the stillness. Now we're going to do a nostril breath to start with, because that's going to help clear the passageways for you. And then we're going to go into what's called a box breath. Now, a box breath is just 4 different segments of one breath. And we're going to end up with just 2 breaths per minute. Right? So if you're thinking that you did 15 breaths per minute in the assessment a few minutes ago, we're only going to go to 2 breaths per minute. And you'll see the difference in how you feel. So note that as well, how you felt at the start of this to how you feel now. Okay, so nostril breathing. What you need to do is you need to close down your right nostril. You're going to inhale through your left nostril and then close off that left nostril. And you're going to exhale through your right nostril. I'm going to inhale through my right nostril, close that right nostril down, and then exhale through your left nostril. So you're doing this sort of circular breath. Inhale through your left nostril, close that down. Exhale through your right nostril. Close your eyes for me, please. No talking. Try not to fidget. Allow your bodies to completely relax. From the top of your head, down through your skull, eyes, nose, mouth, tongue, into your neck and your shoulders. Let your arms loose and relax and melt into the floor. Just have that one hand closing off the nostril. Working our way down through the spine, the chest and the upper back. Relax the shoulders down. Lower back and the stomach. Into your hips now. Front and back of the hips melting into the floor. Legs going heavy. And feet just flopping out to the sides. Okay, let go of the nostril breathing now and have both arms down by your sides. And we're going to start with a 3-second inhalation, a 3-second breath hold, a 3-second exhalation, and a 3-second breath hold. So everybody breathe all the way out. And then let's go in for 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Out. 3, 2, 1. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Back in now. 3. Hold for 3. Exhale for 3. Hold for 3. Continue that breath, counting those breaths in your mind, utilizing that diaphragmatical breath right in through the belly, expand at the ribs as you lift the air up into your chest. When you go to take your next in-breath, I want you to jump up to 5 seconds. 5 seconds in, 5 second hold, 5 second out, 5 second hold. Keep your mind concentrating on the counting and on your breath. If your mind starts to wander, that's totally okay. That's what we're talking about, right? Like this distraction. But what I'm trying to get you to do is concentrate. Concentrate on you, turning inwards and just having a moment for yourself. If you're able to, I want you now to lift that number up to 7. 7 in, 7 hold. So with the next inhale, 7 comes in, 7 second hold, 7 seconds out, 7 seconds holding. If you're not able to, that's fine. You just stay with the 5 seconds, please. For the last couple of minutes now, guys, if you're able to, I want you to lift it up to 10 seconds. 10 seconds in, 10 second hold, 10 second out, 10 second hold. Only if you're able to, no hero journeys here. Alright, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Bring yourself back into the room. And when you're ready, sitting back up for me, please. Did we get anyone fall asleep? No? It's a good ratio. Alright, how do you feel? Does anyone feel better than they did before? Yes? Good. Does anyone feel worse than they did before? No? Don't want to tell me? Thanks, I appreciate that, because it doesn't work as well when you all say, no, I felt rubbish now. Okay, good. Now, interestingly, I don't know if you noticed this in yourselves, but watching you guys go through that was only 5 or 6 minutes. That was not a long time. Right? People can do this for an hour or so. But in that 5 or 6 minutes, those of you that were fidgeting before stopped fidgeting. Right? You were able to relax. Everybody looked like they were starting to either fall asleep or they were actually meditating. Right? You're actually getting that experience of breath. Okay? Now, if that's just 5 minutes, and you just need to take 5 minutes out of your day in order to do that, how achievable is that? Yeah? Relatively achievable? Would that make sense to do that as you're waiting for your competition? Or during training? Yeah? If I can do breath work in between sets, then that would help a lot, right? Like if interval training is another big one to take it into the physical space. Interval training is very, very good in order to be able to go, I'm going to run really hard, and then I'm going to focus on my breath. I'm going to run really hard, and then I'm going to focus on my breath. And if you're shortening and shortening those times, your ability to cognitively function under duress is going to improve. Okay, that's everything for today, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.